Hey guys, how you doing today? So, I thought I would take just like a minute to go through my Beatles playlist that I assembled recently during quarantine. It was a good thing to keep me busy for a little bit. Um, so what this is it's every Beatles song that I have arranged in the order of the official canon, which goes by the British releases. So the official canon consists of the albums "Please Please Me," then "With the Beatles," "Hard Day's Night," "Help," "Rubber Soul," "Revolver," "Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band," "Magical Mystery Tour," "The White Album," and then Abbey Road and Let It Be. I got mixed up there because so that was the order that the albums were released in. Oh, I missed one. I missed Beatles for Sale, which came out after Hard Day's Night, before the album Help. Maybe that's telling. That's generally considered to be the Beatles' worst album, even though it definitely kicks ass, and it's an album where if you listen to it a bunch of times, it gets better. But considering they're the Beatles, that you normally don't have to listen to them any more than one time to love any of them. Anyway, we'll get back to Beatles for Sale when I go through this playlist. So the reason I got tongue twisted at the end of the last thing I said about Let It Be or Abbey Road is if you're a Beatles fan, you know that even though Let It Be came out after Abbey Road, it was recorded before. So this playlist is in the order of it's in the official. It's in the order of the official Beatles canon, but it's also in the order of their recorded date, not their release date. And I think that makes a lot better playlist because it's more honest. Now, what I've also done is I'll scroll down to the end of Please Please Me and you'll see. So I bought the Past Masters album, which is an album of all of the Beatles non-album singles. Now, some of these non-album singles, you're gonna think, wait, those were on an album. For instance, when you go down to "I Want to Hold Your Hand," so this was on the American album Meet the Beatles. But again, because this is I've assembled all the official canon, which are the British releases. "I Want to Hold Your Hand" was not on an actual British album release, because the British album was With the Beatles, and then Meet the Beatles was Capitol's version of With the Beatles, and they put on some songs that With the Beatles did not have, such as "I Want to Hold Your Hand." So, and what I've done is I put all, again, they're in recorded date, but I still wanted to preserve the integrity of each album as best as possible. So I put after each album all of the singles, non-album singles that were recorded at the same time as the album that you just listened to. Now, some people might say, oh, maybe why don't you put the non-album singles before the album that you just listened to? Why don't you put the non-album singles maybe in between the different tracks on an album? I guess you could do that, but I like having the albums in their full as much as possible, because they are, there was a lot of thought that went into the albums. Well, you could maybe actually argue that Please Please Me, there wasn't a lot of thought, because that literally was just recorded in one straight session. But I didn't want to break up the albums, and I like having the albums be like, the kind of overarching, I guess, thing here. I've tried. I've put for a little bit. I put the non-album singles before the albums, but the albums themselves, especially when they get to the later period, starting at Rubber Soul, it just didn't work for me putting the non-album singles before. But there's some tracks that I I'm flummoxing up my words, because I was gonna say that I get kind of OCD about, and we'll tracks that I get OCD about. We'll talk about those later. So anyway, so every single song this is 214 songs, and we're just gonna go through it. Um, so, so first we start off with "Please Please Me," and this is just the Please Me" album. We go down here. These songs are really good, and they're kind of overlooked. "Misery" is a fantastic song. "Anna Godem" is a fantastic song. "Chains" is a fantastic song. And "Boys" is too. If I had to pick one weakest song from the Please Please Me album, I probably would pick "P.S. I Love You," but it's still like a good like Paul ballad. And what's great about the Beatles is every song that you can consider as like a bad Beatles song, if any other album had, or any other band had recorded that, it would be like their best-selling album ever, or because of that bad Beatles song. Just shows like again just how dominant the Beatles were and are as a band. So you get through "Please Please Me," and I put the non-album singles. These are arranged not in the order that they're on past masters necessarily. These are arranged. Whichever one was recorded first, I put up here, and whichever one was recorded last, I put down here. Then we go to "With the Beatles." This song, "Little Child," is interesting because John Lennon later said that this song was total album filler, and it is, but it's still like a really good song. Although in the age of Me Too, calling a girl a child, and it has its own issues, so maybe that's dated a little bit. But overall, a fantastic album. Then this actually surprised me how late in the canon, I guess, that "I Want to Hold Your Hand" fits into it. I thought this was going to be right at the beginning. That probably comes from, like I said, like the album "Meet the Beatles in America." The first two tracks are "I Want to Hold Your Hand" and "I Saw Her Standing There." So that really was the first songs of the Beatles, I guess, that Americans overall heard. And then you think about their Ed Sullivan Show appearances. But yeah, if you're following the official canon, this is pretty late, right before "A Hard Day's Night." This is the first song that I got kind of OCD about. For a little bit, I was like, I put that just right after "I Saw Her Standing There," but I didn't like how they interrupted the "Please Please Me" album, and I think especially the "Please Please Me" album, you don't want to mess up the order of the songs because it was recorded just in one thing all the way through. So there's something special about that. So anyway, going back after "With the Beatles" and "I Want to Hold Your Hand," I love that song, "This Boy," it's fantastic, and "I Call You Your Name." You get to "Hard Day's Night," and there's nothing to be said. This is a masterpiece. Now, what's interesting though is if you've seen the movie "Hard Day's Night," after "Can't Buy Me Love," these songs are not in the movie. Anytime at all, these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs, and they're all amazing. They're all very good. Moving on. Okay, so this is from the "Long Tall Sally" EP. These three ones. "I Call Your Name" was also from the "Long Tall Sally" EP, but I figured out that because of the recorded date, it made sense for that song to go before. Again, I don't follow the order of. I do put these ones, because these were recorded during the "Hard Day's Night" sessions, even though "I Called Their Name" was on one of these singles as a B-side, I believe. These songs are good. These are two of the weakest Beatles songs in my opinion, but they're still fantastic. Then you get to what's considered the worst Beatles album, which is "Beatles for Sale." Now, you could make a pretty good argument of that. John Lennon did call this kind of like a country western album, and it really is. This song's great. This song is fantastic. Everyone has heard this song. This song is good. I had never even really heard it before, but it's still great. "Babies in Black." "I'll Follow the Sun" is an amazing Paul ballad, kind of leading up to Yesterday for him. This is considered, Mr. Moonlight, the worst Beatles song ever recorded. Now, when you first hear this song, it is true. It's the only Beatles song I've ever heard that legitimately I was like, that is a bad song. But what I read afterwards was that John Lennon very probably knew it was a bad song and kind of picked, this is not written by the Beatles. This is a cover, but and when he picked this, it was almost to troll it, like he knew it was bad and he just wanted to make it as bad as possible. So if you think of it like that, it absolutely makes sense because it's the only Beatles song you could say is bad in my opinion. Keeping on going, all of these songs are fantastic. We get to I Feel Fine and She's a Woman, incredible. We get to Help. Help is, most people say Revolver is the best Beatles album. For me, I love Help. I think it's a very underrated album, in my opinion. If you listen to it through, it kind of tells the story of a relationship. A girl the night before, then they break up. You've got and this song is beautiful. I almost want to play this, but I can't because of copyright. Incredible song. Definitely influenced by Bob Dylan. You can hear the influence in it. It's incredible. Anyways, this is the breakup. Then I have another girl, and then maybe she leaves. I feel like it has a lot of continuity about related to the theme of falling in love and then breaking up. Then we get to the non-album singles here. Yes, It Is, Bad Boy, and I'm Down. Great songs. Yes, It Is fantastic. I had never heard this before I purchased the Past Masters non-album single compilation album, and it's great. John Lennon said it was kind of him trying to do This Boy, another version of it, but he's in his opinion, he said this is not a very good song, but John Lennon said a lot of songs that were amazing were not that good after the Beatles broke up. So I take everything he says as kind of with a grain of salt that he said in those years after the Beatles broke up. Then we got Rubber Soul. This song, Norwegian Wood, is actually about arson. And it's interesting. I swear to God, it's an incredibly beautiful song, but it's very dark if you look into what the lyrics actually are and what it's talking about. But amazing. All of these songs are classics. As soon as you get a Rubber Soul, every song is a classic. Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out. Now, this song here, okay, 12-bar original. This is just an instrumental piece. John Lennon was interviewed at some point, and the interviewer said, is there anything you've recorded that you haven't released? And he said something like, oh yes, just some crappy 12-bar stuff. And that's what he meant by this, but it's a very sick instrumental. And this is actually on another album, the Anthology box set, which also comes with the Beatles songs that came out in like 94 that they took some earlier recordings of. The two songs, Free as a Bird and Real Love, which I've put at the bottom of this list, but we'll get there eventually. So then Rubber Soul, universally acknowledged, not Rubber Soul, excuse me, that was the last one. Revolver, universally acknowledged to be the best Beatles album. This is top 5 favorite songs. I love this song. Funnily enough, this song is, I think, one of the only, if not the only Beatles song that was ever recorded without Paul at all. Then Good Day Sunshine, Your Bird Can Sing. All these songs are amazing. Paperback Writer and Rain. Nothing to be said. Incredible. Rain has the best drumming, I think, of any Beatles song. Maybe on the same level as Ticket to Ride. And Ringo has acknowledged this as well. Then you get to Sgt. Pepper's. Nothing to be said, just incredible. Now this is coming up to the kind of the real kind of OCD area of what order do you put these the non-album single songs in. So an album, I just realized I forgot to say this at the beginning. An album that is part of the Beatles canon is the Yellow Submarine album, because of there are 4 songs on that album that are not released anywhere else. Altogether now, It's All Too Much, Hey Bulldog, and Only a Northern Song. So there is some discrepancy about where you can put these. I put them here. It took a lot of between Sgt. Pepper's and Magical Mystery Tour. Some people might say you can't put anything between those two because they're so similar. They're just the Beatles in their height of their psychedelic phase. But it's difficult. I mean, Hey Bulldog was recorded really at the same time as Lady Madonna. So you could make an argument for putting this after Magical Mystery Tour. But I didn't. Only a Northern Song was. This makes sense because this was recorded pretty early. This you could argue putting for it later. Same with, I guess, All Together Now. This is just the place that it made the most sense to put these songs in. But there was a lot of OCD here about where the hell do you put these. And I think it's confused collectors for kind of a while. But again, I just settled on, not breaking up the canon albums. So every song from Yellow Submarine I'm going to put here. I'm not going to put some here and some later. And that's really the reason why they're in the place where they are. Then Magical Mystery Tour. I mean, what can you say? These are all classics. This song, Flying, I thought was pretty whack when I first heard it. It's just an instrumental, but it's a song, if you listen to it, kind of grows on you. Blue Jay Way is a great psychedelic George song. There's no I Am the Wall. I mean, okay, then you get to these songs, starting with I Am the Walrus. So these are now, like, arguably the best songs Beatles ever wrote. I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man. Now, again, you can get OCD about this because Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane were recorded much earlier than these other songs. You could make a good argument if you want to split up the albums for putting those two even before Sgt. Pepper's, because they were recorded between Revolver and Sgt. Pepper's. Strawberry Fields was recorded towards the end of 1966. It's pretty early, but I just don't want to break up the canon albums, so I put them here. And then we go back to Past Masters. Okay. The Inner Light is a good psychedelic George song. Lady Madonna's fantastic, obviously. Now, this song, this is, again, You Know My Name, look up the number. This song is insane. If you've never heard it, please YouTube it right now. It's just like a pure comedy album. It's like the Beatles do Monty Python. It's ridiculous. It's only John and Paul on it. And because of that, in the song, they say things like, hey, Ringo and George, to make you think that they're part of it, but this is purely John and Paul. You could make an argument of putting this a lot later in the canon, but the thing is, they started to record this song around this time, and they finished it like a while later. So when I go by recorded date, I'm going by the date where it was first started to be recorded, and that's why it's here. Then you get the White Album. I'm having issues with the cloud and downloading songs, so some of these are grayed out, which is pretty big disaster because these first songs in the White Album are masterpieces, so I'm going to have to deal with that at some point. People think Happiness is the Warm Gun is their best song. A lot of people think that. I don't think so, but there's definitely a good argument you could make for that. I mean, how many different songs have like a billion time signature shifts and still don't sound like terrible? Not many. Then obviously all these songs are fantastic. Don't Pass Me By, I think, is a very underrated Ringo song. It's great. Julia's amazing. I mean, the White Album, for a lot of people, the White Album's the best album. And there's, again, a very good argument you could make for that. Then we got the 9 album singles, Revolution and Hey Jude. Revolution, this is the rock version of Revolution. There were three forms of Revolution that were recorded. One is Revolution 1, which was on the White Album, which is a very kind of like slow, what's the word? They don't go for hard rock, they just go for kind of like, I'm forgetting the word, but like a slow, maybe bluesy kind of song. And this is the rock version, which John said they did just to make it more commercial. And I like this better. It's great. It's one of the Beatles' best hard rockers. And then, of course, arguably their most famous song of all time is "Hey Jude." And moving on. And a fun fact: if you're a hardcore Beatles fan like I am, you know this, but "Hey Jude," there's an issue with how long it is, and that their manager at the time, or not their manager, but I think maybe the producer said, "Oh, you're never going to get a 7-minute song on the radio," and John's response is, "Oh, they'll play it if it's us," or something like that, which they did. He was right. So yeah. So then after this, the next album is Abbey Road, but again, like I said before, I'm doing these by recorded dates when they were recorded, and Let It Be album was recorded in the beginning of '69, and Abbey Road was recorded towards the end of it. The one song here you can get OCD about is "I Me Mine," a George song, "I Me Mine," which, fun fact, John Lennon absolutely hated this song. Because "I Me Mine," again, it was recorded during the time, it's called the Get Back sessions, during the time of the Get Back sessions, but it was finished after even Abbey Road in 1970. It was the last song the Beatles worked on, minus John Lennon, I believe, in 1970. So again, you can get anal and put that song after Come Together, but I don't like to break up the albums. And I think Let It Be is fantastic. I never understood the critics who said, "Oh, this is their worst album." That's total BS. Two of Us is amazing, an amazing start to an album. Dig a Pony, Across the Universe. I mean, these are classics. And then, of course, Get Back, Long and Winding Road. Long and Winding Road is an interesting song because Paul did not approve the orchestral accompaniment behind it, and he was very upset. He thought the song was murdered because of that. Now, the reason there was an orchestral accompaniment in this song is because John Lennon's bass playing was terrible. And if you take out it was really just to cover up the terrible bass playing. And Paul actually thought for a while that John purposely sabotaged the song by playing bass so terribly on it. Then you have this. You cannot have a Beatles, collection without this song, "Don't Let Me Down." It is fantastic. This is the version recorded for a single, not the version on the roof of their studio where they had that famous rooftop concert on. It's not that version. That version arguably I think is better, but this is still great in a different way. Their song they recorded in the studio. And then of course you have Abbey Road, which is just pure sickness, a masterpiece. And at the end of Abbey Road, the two non-album singles, The Ballad of John and Yoko and Old Brown Shoe, which are great. And then, like I said before, I put, just to be a total, again, OCD about this, Free as a Bird and Real Love at the end, because they were released in '94 and spliced together from recordings from when the Beatles were a band. And that's it. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with the order, if you disagree with the order that I put these in. Shoot me a like, subscribe to my channel if it helped you. That's awesome. I would really appreciate that. And ring that bell next to the subscription button if you want updates about my channel. And that's it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'm going to end this just by scrolling through all of them. It was a pretty bad scroll. You're not going to be able to read all of that. But anyway, that's just going to be how it ends. And have a great day.